Welcome to Food Shrinks.
Hey gang, welcome to Food Drinks. Molly C here. You know what I'm going to say if you're a food drinker, that we need your help. Can you just stop what you're doing real quick? Take it 20 seconds. Just press subscribe so that we know that we have our love. We love our little like whooshy hearts. And if you're feeling extra excited about our episode today, which I would be, it's going to be a real deal one. Would you mind just rating and reviewing and sending this to another person? The more, the merrier. You know, uh, I am still so taken by the letter that we read last week about just the part about how, it's like so often we're comparing our insides to other people's outsides when we're in some darkness. And I just want to so we decided today we're going to go a little deep. We're going to talk about the real stuff because, you're just at lunch with your besties. We're so happy to see you. And I don't know, like, not that I love when we're struggling, but I love that we, at least in like our little trio, that we can talk about it and we can relate and we can just like see where we are. So MP was like, before we started, Molly P was like, all right, I got to go we asked her if she would be willing to talk about how she's doing. And she
She
goes,
grabbed the Kleenex.
she goes, she goes, hold on, let me get the Kleenex. So this is our offering to you today, our little food trinkies. How you doing, MP?
I'm okay. I really am okay. I was halfway joking, but also I was like, well, I should maybe be prepared. I never know what's gonna start coming out of me when we start having these conversations because it is so easy to talk to you too and just be able to be real and vulnerable because I just feel safe with you to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So thank
And I
you for
think it's like
that
perfect
space.
timing to even, we've been doing chronic invalidation as a trauma response in
Mm.
sweet sobriety for the whole month.
Wait, can you explain what that
And
is?
so it is growing up in a home where your parents don't acknowledge your feelings. Maybe you were too much or told, like, if you're going to cry, like, just go to your room.
Mhm.
And so now
Stop
we
being
don't,
so dramatic, something like
right, stop being so dramatic, or like you can't, behave that way in public. Just always having your feelings shut down. And then actually starting to question, like, and then you learn how to show up in the world in a way where you suppress those parts of you, because it's not safe to show that. And so what happens in adulthood, we still show up in the same way in relationships, at jobs. This is a lot where people pleasing comes from because we had to use it as safety as a child, and now we brought that into our adult life. But, now we commonly, when somebody has this, they may not know. If I say, what are you feeling right now? They might not be able to recognize. That's when we really have to pull the feeling out because they just have been so disconnected from their feelings. And I think what happens is like in our adulthood, we also tend to get into relationships with people who still invalidate us, as well. And anyone who still has a relationship with their parents will constantly be faced with this. I told group the other day, it had been like pouring rain and there was a thunderstorm. I had my parents' dog. I was awake with the dog all night because the dog can't handle the rain. So I was like, okay, this is going to be a really long, hard day. Instead, I decided, I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to start this day over and I'm going to take back this day and do a workout. And then I got in the shower, and mid shower, the water stopped with shampoo in my hair. Apparently, the propane people were here. They had shut off the water. So, in a towel, I went upstairs. I probably came in hot and said, can you just ask them to turn the water on for 10 minutes? And the response was, why are you yelling at me? I didn't do this. I'm stressed out too. I didn't sleep well last night. And it's like, I'm sorry, what? And I am old enough and mature enough to understand he was in the wrong. However, I just was like, hey, we're just gonna do our hair today with shampoo in it in a pong.
that.
And later on, I was just talking to mom about it, and she was like, well, your sister and at the cottage, they lost their sewage or something over their septic tank flooded. And, I couldn't wash either in the morning. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Is it never okay to be about me or anything that happened? Now, the difference is in adulthood, I'm able to speak up for myself. And so I was able to go back, have conversation with dad and say, that was not okay. And with mom and say, listen, sometimes I just need you to listen and not, make it about other people. And so I felt really good about that. But I think this happens to us all the time in our lives, and it just reinforces, like, of course I would never say anything to anyone if that's the way I was always treated, right? It's
Yeah.
not safe. It's not safe. It makes you feel like you're the problem. And so I think Molly, when she was sharing today about, you can let us know what you're going through, it was just like, oh, this is so it.
On that chronic invalidation piece, it's actually not to be so clinical. We are your friends, but just an FYI, just it's at the cornerstone of the idea of borderline personality disorder, right? Is that a very emotional child is raised in a chronically invalidating environment, and what ends up happening is that the behavior gets anteed up because we just want to be seen and heard, right? And then that experience becomes something else. I don't know if I'd call myself borderline, but certainly have some of those traits and whatever. And I know for me, like when I, it's just like Marcia calls it, Marcia Linehan, who created DBT, calls it like a parental mismatch sometimes. Like I had a mom who just couldn't hold my feelings because she had her own trauma. And so I think that how I experienced it was I was too much and I needed to be less and I couldn't be. And then I started, using food and using drugs and using alcohol and using people and using shopping. But I think what's really interesting, which I know MP is going to get to, is that when you're raised that way, is my experience. Like when an invalidating moment comes up, we don't know it's invalidating, right? Like
Exactly.
and validation is truth. Validation isn't being nice. Validation is like you believe that person is like, oh, come on, you could just do better. And it's like, okay, yeah, then I should be able to. Oh, that's something wrong with me. Like, oh, I really got to fix this. When it's like that's that person's experience of you, and you don't need to do better. You probably need to like find a new therapist or something, right? Like so. The problem with being raised in an emotionally invalidating environment, I've had to do a ton of work on my own too muchness and my not enoughness, which is where I was ping ponging, is that you kind of magnetize those people sometimes because that's what's safe and that's what you know. And so that's like maybe a different episode.
That would be a great episode, actually.
That is a great episode. Stay tuned.
Right.
It's
coming.
You have to hear all about my childhood. My mother's going to be like, well, can you please stop talking about that? I'm like,
Yeah.
no. She said that to me. I posted something on Instagram many years ago. She's like, can you not post that kind of stuff? I was like, I have to post it. Sorry. It's too helpful to people.
Yeah. But also it's your story to tell.
Yeah. We
can
can rename the podcast about parents.
Robin Carmel.
Yeah.
I just call it that.
She'll be our biggest.
How you feeling?
One. I'm okay now. It was so interesting because what I was just telling my friends here is that my depression and anxiety this year has just usually I get reprieve, probably like May to September. So think like late spring or early or late summer. I usually get some reprieve, but my anxiety depression this past couple years it's just been creeping. And I've been saying to Clarissa, like, I'll keep her in the loop, like, oh, it's bad, whatever. I said to my husband this year, I will do whatever it takes to like take care of this year. Like I'm not willing to just like kind of lay there and suffer through it. And back in 2023, I had done neurofeedback and I was like at the point, I'm like, I'm ready to go back. And so I recently just went and had my first brain map back and the results were actually worse than when I started in March 2023. And so when I had to meet with the physician's assistant to go over those results, I was sharing with her that I'm working with their dietitian to work on anti-inflammatory protocols, that kind of to support the treatment that I'm going to be going through with neurofeedback or neurotherapy, however you know it. And I do lens. The lens, it's like light emission. I don't even know. We would have to look it up. But it's a very passive treatment. I just go, they hook up the electrodes and the paddles, the magnetic paddles. They put me through a 30-minute protocol. I get to go home.
For like the person who doesn't know what we're talking about, so they put them onto your head. These
Yep. So you get a special little hat. Well, the electrodes do. They do get stuck to your head. They put on a hat, and then it's a Velcro. There's Velcro, so they can Velcro paddles to it, and then there's electrical waves, sent in a specific pattern kind of thing, depending on what's going on with your brain. And so I had to meet with the physician's assistant yesterday to go over those results, and we're kind of talking about them. And I said, okay, yeah, and I'm going to be working with your dietitian to make sure I'm doing this anti-inflammatory protocols to support that. And I'm thinking, this is a medical professional in front of me, right? So I'm looking at the biological aspects of what's going on for me, depression, anxiety, right? And I say to her, is there anything that I could be doing that could be harming this process or stagnating it in some way? And I fully expected her to say, move your body, something right. Biological. And she says to me, well, have you ever thought about befriending your depression? And to set this up, I don't know why I do this to myself, but my day yesterday was insane. It was a brutal day schedule-wise. I find myself doing this every once in a while. So it's one of those days where I'm just like in survival mode, right? So I'm like this, blinders on, what is right in front of me? So she says to me, have you ever thought about befriending your depression? And I'm like, lady, I have been in therapy for 20 plus years. Mm-hmm. I've done all the different kinds. Are you kidding me? So like in my head, I'm just like, okay. And then she's like, well, have you ever read the book Mother Hunger? I'm like, well, I haven't read it. I know about it. I don't know. I'm just not there. And she goes, well, I haven't really read it ever either, but I think this would actually be very helpful for you. And then she just kind of keeps going on. And this is never going to get better until you truly love yourself and trust yourself. So you need to read Louise Hay, look in the mirror, look yourself in the eyes and tell yourself you trust yourself and you love yourself. And so again, it's a 30-minute appointment. I'm like,
because I gotta get to the next appointment. Like my would.
So but because of this experience, you two did a beautiful job setting up what chronic invalidation is. So I have a narcissistic personality disordered mother who I am the target of that. Mm-hmm. And a severe alcoholic father who was never present until I was much older. So he was never a dad to me. Right? That kind of thing. So I just sit there in silence and take it. Like that's my kind of thing, is like, I just take it. And some of it wasn't even fully registering because I was going so fast. So like we talk about needing to slow down, Molly, like you and I have, like we were just talking about like how fast we go sometimes. And so I was like, okay, last night as I'm like slowing it down and I'm just kind of like downloading my day with my husband, I'm like, and then she said this, and then it like started to register. And I'm like, oh my God. And then she said, and then pretty soon I'm just like bawling. Oh, wow. And I'm like, and I said to him, and I said, I'm a mental health therapist with my own therapist who's been in therapy for years. I have resources, I have support, I have all of these things. And she's saying this to me, and think about my reaction right now. And he's like, and think about the people she says this stuff to who does not have what you have.
Yeah, so vulnerable.
Oh my gosh. And he's like, you need to email the owner of the clinic. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I know that I need to. And right. So there's that part that knows that I need to. And then there's the part that's like so scared, because when I would speak up for myself in the past, it was not met. Sometimes it was met with like, them wanting to make it about them, but it was often met with physical violence. And I get that this woman is not going to be physically violent with me. I get that. I also get that there's like physical distance. Like I'm not physically.
Get that.
Yeah, I get that.
Does your
but the nervous system
You're
doesn't
listening.
get that.
Clarissa's pointing to her head, so she gets it in her head, but she doesn't get it in her heart and spirit.
System, it's not safe.
Yeah. So I think I'm at this point today where I'm going in today for another treatment, and I doubt she would be there anyway, and I wouldn't necessarily want to talk to her specifically, but I think after that, when I get home, I haven't decided if I'm going to just address it with her or if I'm going to address it to the owner of the company. Part of me wants to be like a well-adjusted, adult and just address it with her specifically. But then there's like the part of me that's like, the little girl in me is super afraid to do that. And I want to go to like this other, right? I want to go to her boss and say, this is concerning. Like, part of the reason why I left last time is because this clinic is kind of a rodeo. It's not run by people who have good boundaries or anything like that, but they are the only clinic in town that does this treatment. And so my kind of like deal breaker for going back to it was I did not want to have to use their therapists. I wanted to be able to use my therapist, but in order to get the treatment, you have to like work with their providers. So
it's kind
we'll
of
see how
even
this
that
goes.
power dynamic of parents, right?
Yeah.
Versus child. These are the only people that we know
Making me
that
wanna
are
puke.
like have that power over us. And so we just do, and we submit, and we do show up exactly how they need us to. Like in that moment with my parents, I wasn't upset, but then I was driving to an appointment, and the thought came to me is, oh my gosh, this is what you dealt with all the time when you were a little kid. This was your whole life experience. So it's not sad for me, but I was like, oh, I'm going for a massage. I'm going to probably cry during this. And it takes me a lot to get there. But little Clarissa, I was like, this was her whole life. Of course, she struggled so much.
Yeah. 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 I don't know.
I remember that part about, I mean, this is what I learned in all my trauma work. It's like, when the parents are unsafe and the child knows it, you're going to make it about you and make it that you're bad and that you're wrong. Because the other alternative would be that your God figures are unsafe.
Right.
And so that's where the appeasement really comes in.
That we learn how to take care of them and
Right.
what they
She's
need
like,
from
oh, you
us.
know what? I'll just maybe go talk to her. Like, I'm not going to, like, whatever. And, like, you know what? The other thing I want to say, because I think we also on the show teach people how to be friends.
Yeah.
Whatever choice you make, Mal, I got your back. Whatever path you decide to take, count me in. That's a really
and I want to write the email for you.
I mean, obviously,
I know you do. I know you do.
Obviously.
Clarissa's like, whoa, she's like a
I'm coming to Montana. Here we go. I don't even want to go to America right now, but I might come.
But like, I think that's the piece, like that we have to. Oh, I just had such a perimenopause moment. I don't know what I was going to say. Let's be real. Can't remember. Okay,
no, that's okay. Another thing as we're talking that I'm remembering that she said to me was something to the effect of like how I need to learn how to become the parent for myself I never was. Okay, fine, fair enough.
No,
fair enough.
It's spiritual bypass. It's actually like that's actually nothing this woman is saying to you is okay.
No, I know that.
I know. I just want to remind everybody listening. Like when somebody says that to you, they're simplifying a long-term therapeutic process. And usually, because this is the base of codependency, right? Codependency is I'm feeling comfortable inside, so I'm going to try to fix someone else so that I don't have to have my feeling. So this is actually, I mean, of course it's about Molly, right? But it's also like really just about this woman like barfing her own untreated trauma onto Molly. Which
exactly.
Yes.
So when she said that to me, again, in my head, I'm like, you don't know me. You've met me. This is like the second appointment I've ever had with you. I had like 30 minutes, 45 minutes with her last week, whatever it might be, where she was asking. And again, a medical professional asking questions. And then she's like, what prescriptions are you on? And what is that for? And I'm like, you know what that's for. What are you? But she wanted me to say it. And that was gross. So I went into this thinking, okay, we got off on the wrong foot. It's going to be fine. And then this happened. So then she says that thing to me. And I kept thinking, you know what, though? I am the mother to my children that I never had. And I feel like in that process, I have started to reparent myself. And as I'm talking to you two, I'm like, I am going to write that email to her. To her. I am. And I am going to be my own best advocate. I am going to stand up for myself and say, you know what? You're right, lady. You're right. I need to be a mother to myself that I didn't have. And here's the thing, for all the things that my mom did or didn't do for me in my life, one thing she did do is because of the narcissism. So like if something were happening to me that would make her look bad, oh, you better believe she was gonna beat your booty. She was gonna fight you, right? But only because of how it reflected on her, which is fine.
Right.
But there were moments where I was like, yeah, like I really did learn some, you know, like to stand up for myself in some ways that way. And okay, fair enough. I was called out and I'll go ahead and do that. But you're right, Molly, like the piece of it that needs to still be processed. And I did cry quite a bit last night, which I needed to for many reasons. You know, the part that does need to be processed is the fact that that was even said to me, and it is invalidating, because to say that to somebody, anybody, go befriend your depression and go tell yourself you love yourself and you trust yourself in a mirror, and that's what's gonna, she said, you are never gonna be better until you do these things. God. And I just want to say it to the listener out there, that is the kind of stuff we talk about when people say there's one way, run away. When people use this kind of language with you, always, never, those kinds of words need to be like flags for us of like, okay, pay attention, because whatever's coming out of their mouth after that is probably not accurate for me. Like you were saying, Molly, it was her stuff and she was putting it on me.
I mean, I'm just so taken. You know, I don't know if I'm sure you guys say this, because now I take stuff that Molly and Clarissa say. I mean, I take your stuff all the time, but like I have said so many times to people struggling with addiction in my sessions, if you could have done this, you already would have. And I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yes.
And then I'm
100%.
like, what are we missing? Like, I'm just so like engaged.
Yeah.
Because I deal with people who are, anybody sitting in a fluff and brain mapping session wants to get better so badly.
Right.
Yeah.
They are
And
here
you're like
doing it.
having these like, love yourself. Like, ugh. Well, I know the other thing that really gets me. Here's my, just while we're up.
Yeah.
When they say like, you know, you can't be in a relationship until you really love yourself. It's like, no. Things are healed in relationships. Don't say that to somebody.
That's right. You weren't hurt solo. You were hurt. Right. The rupture occurred in relationship. The repair has to happen, and doesn't have to, but like that's where it can happen, right?
And
not necessarily with that
healing.
Yes.
It can be such a healing.
Yeah.
And
so it happens. It happens to the best of us. It happens with professionals. It happens with our parents. It happens with friends.
Yeah.
But also, Molly, first of all, listener, I hope you're just like getting us fired up and just, you know, healed as I am from this episode. But gosh, the most powerful thing I heard you say among everything is like, I'm a good mother and I'm reparenting my children, which has taught me how to reparent myself. I feel that way all the time. And also, just from the top of the show, I mess it up so profoundly. My trauma interferes with my ability to express myself all the time. And I just kind of like try to be loving about it like I would to my kids, you know? So it's like, okay, so like, let's keep on moving. What's the thing you say? Next channel? What's your thing? Next podcast? What's the thing that they say about you?
What did he say?
Back to regularly scheduled programming.
Next broadcast. Back to regular. Okay. I had a moment. Yeah. The thing about the trauma is like, you guys, like, trauma doesn't heal completely. Like, it's just like not the deal. And the more we're obsessed with it healing completely, the more we're re-traumatizing ourselves because we're invalidating ourselves.
Exactly.
It's like, come on.
Exactly. I don't need to fix anything. I'm not broken. I just need some support to be able to live life on life's terms as it comes at me. Right. So, and I think that's true for any of us out there, just walking around this world, doing the best that we can with what we have. So yeah, if anybody resonates with this, you want to know more about chronic invalidation, you want to give us a topic idea, be sure to email us, asktheshrinks@foodshrinks.com.
We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys. Love you.
Love you.
Thanks for listening to Food Shrinks. Quick reminder, this podcast isn't a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider for guidance suited to your needs. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach others on the recovery journey. Take care, and remember, freedom with food is possible. See you next time.